Hey, how you doing? Justin here to talk about a practice routine for lesson 10. At this stage of your journey, you should feel free to adapt the practice routine to fit what it is that you want to do or any struggles that you've got and the things that you're interested in. So this is just a starting point, a guide. If you're using my practice assistant, it's very easy to edit the times for the different things or to remove an item altogether. So feel free to explore your practice routine. You want to keep it fun, you want to keep it enjoyable and doing things that you want to keep doing. I would recommend starting off with 5 minutes of song revision. Now you could do like lots of little bits of songs or work on just one song. I think probably the best thing at this point would be to pick one song, spend the first 3 or 4 minutes practicing the song, just playing it through, and then spend a little bit of time at the end, the remainder of your 5 minutes, working on anything that you found particularly difficult. If there's a particular chord change that you found a bit of a struggle, or one section of the song that was hard, or you found the strumming pattern was difficult, or whatever it is that was hard in the tune, you could maybe revise that, or you could just start playing a bit of a riff or just having some fun here. It's kind of like a warm-up revision part, that. Next up, we're going to have 2 minutes on the F chord. Now, for some of you, that'll be just getting the sound of the F chord working. Okay, and that's okay if that's where you're at. If you feel confident that you're getting the chord kind of most of the time, then I'd recommend maybe starting to work in a chord change, probably C chord to F. And just spend that 2 minutes going C chord to F chord, like essentially perfect fast changes, but with a little bit more emphasis on making sure that you're getting the F chord really good and maybe exploring a little bit more of the first finger position if that's needed for you at this point. I would then recommend 2 minutes working on your weak finger G and or the mini bar A. So it's up to you how you're going to divide your time there. You could do 1 minute working on each one, or majority of time on one or the other, depending on what it is, the songs that you're learning and what it is that you feel like is going to be the focus for your practice this week. Nit Sudge was mostly doing the weak finger G. In the later sessions, he spent a little bit more time working on the bar. So it really, at this point, you have to start making some decisions about the things that you want to really focus on. But that would be my suggestion. I do recommend then 1 minute of perfect fast changes doing C chord to the weak finger G, just because that progression and that use of that is so common. And if you don't put the weak finger G into practice and work on it a bit, the old fingering will always feel easier, even if you're going C, G, C, G. Weak finger G is the best choice if you're going C to G, moving between those two chords. It is definitely better. So you want to spend a bit of time working on that weak finger Gs and putting it into kind of into a practice. We then got 2 minutes, C major scale, alternate picking. Now, so you've worked on C major scale with all down picking. Hopefully you know it already. So now you want to be spending most of your time looking at your picking hand to make sure that you're getting the correct picking motions. Remember that there are little target notes that you can check when you get to the thinner string that you're going to have that up pick on it. Okay, so stay aware of that. That's really important. Then you got your 2 minutes of improvising, which hopefully you'll really enjoy. There's a free backing track on the site, but even better if you've got a jam buddy that can practice one of the chord progressions while you have a solo and then swap over. That's amazing. That's the best thing that you can possibly be doing. Practicing and playing with another musician really accelerates your progress. So if you've got somebody that you can jam with, find them, invite them over and do a regular weekly practice or something like that. It'd be really good for you. I've then included 1 minute of the push strumming pattern. Now, again, this is one of those ones that I wanted to work on it and try and get it going so that I can use it in songs later, because it is a real common thing and it does add another dimension. It kind of adds some energy to a chord progression. So I definitely think it's worth working on. Whether you work on it now or whether you work on it in the consolidation stage is up to you. Remember, for Nit Sudge, part of his journey is helping me figure out what's going to be good for you. So he had to practice it. He didn't have any choice. It is quite difficult. You have to make sure that you're using chords that you know. If you want to play La Bamba and you want to do the song more than just the riff, then you're going to have to give it a little bit of time doing that. But again, make sure you do it slowly. Don't practice the right strumming but with a big pause, because it just ain't right. You've got to try and keep that rhythm consistent and the arm motions consistent if you're going to do that. But it's a good thing to practice. We've just got 1 minute on the hammer-ons exercise. If you wanted to, nick a minute from somewhere else and do maybe 2 minutes, that would be okay, but don't spend more time on it than that. Okay, it's not worth it at this point. There are better exercises to develop hand strength that are more comprehensive. This is just a thing to help you deal with the ornament stuff that we're going to be dealing with next lesson, to get your fingers used to being a bit more independent and being able to work on their own, and get used to the idea of a hammer-on, what it is, being able to do it. That's the point of that part of the practice. I've put 4 minutes onto La Bamba. Now, 4 minutes just on the riff might be a little bit long, so it could be that you spend maybe 2 minutes on doing La Bamba riff, and then maybe 1 minute doing the chord progression really slowly and using the push, and then go back to the riff. There's a couple of layers of the riff where you just play a single note thing, or you can add the little 2-note part of it as well. I'd recommend that you get good at the single note part first before you think about adding the 2-note bit at the top. Don't be in a hurry. Be cool with playing it nice and slow. It's all down pick, so you don't have to worry about alternate picking. In fact, even if I'm playing it right-handed, I still use down picks the majority of the time. It's kind of possible with alternate picking, but it feels better using all downs because it kind of creates a bit more energy and vibe. 10 minutes on songs. We've already talked about suitable song choices, so try and pick songs that you love. Practicing along with the app is a fantastic idea, just because it really helps you work on your time. It'll iron out any of those problems where you pause between chords and all that sort of stuff, because the app doesn't wait for you. It's a really good thing to be practicing with. And the last thing, which isn't included in the routine, that you probably just want, you could choose to add it to your routine if you want to add in a few minutes onto your routine or do a bit extra, or you could just do a single practice routine, one practice session on the chord progressions, and just having a listen to them, trying them out. If you're an aspiring songwriter, maybe have a go at writing a song. I know we haven't talked more about it, and you might not be confident to have a go, but there aren't really any rules in writing, so there's just like, here's a chord progression, try and write a song. You'll be amazed at what you can do if you just really want to do it and start experimenting. So that's your routine. That's I think a really, really nicely rounded 30-minute routine. When to move on? You want to have memorized your weak finger G chord and the A minibar. Hopefully that should be pretty obvious by now. Most of when you move on at this point, you've been at it for a little while now. You probably know. You'll get a feeling for like, yeah, I'm getting bored of this. I need to move on. I want to learn some more stuff. Or like, no, I really love this particular part of this lesson, so I'm going to put the extra time into it. Okay, so you've got to figure it out now. I help you as much as I can, but some of it is down to you, of course. You should be able to play the C major scale with alternate picking. There's no time thing. We're not playing it with a metronome yet, although there'd be definitely no harm in doing that if you wanted to. But do make sure that it's consistent. Do, 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 do. Not faster in the easy parts and then slowing down where it gets a bit tricky. That's the thing that you want to avoid with the major scale. I would recommend that you've learned at least one song that uses the weak fingered G and put some time into it. Again, it's not like we're not counting chord changes like we did in the real beginner in grade 1, I would recommend that you've had some fun with La Bamba. Again, you might not find that you can play the riff well enough to be able to entertain your friends at a party with it yet, or play it at an open mic, but be able to play it up and down. That would be a pretty cool thing. If you've had a go at doing the push strumming, you could be including that, but again, that's an optional thing that you might choose to do now, you might choose to do later. The most important thing at this stage is that you feel happy with the things that we've done, and that you understand them, you know what they are, and that you've tried to put as much of it into practice as you can. Into practice, I mean playing songs, because that's kind of the point. Other than that, you've got to decide when it's time to move on. Maybe it'll just be when I get the next lesson finished. But if you're coming to the course a bit later, then all of the lessons will be there. So it's definitely your choice. It's just these front runners, because I practice the left-handed stuff, and that informs how I teach this thing. And it's not like I did it ages ago. I'm still, after I've been filming this stuff today, I'll be back doing the left-handed practice. I'm still on it, trying to give you the full immersive experience and making sure that I know the struggles that you're going to have. That's kind of the point of this stuff. Love your feedback, of course. If you're struggling with something, let me know. If you've got suggestions of songs or things, I'd love to know more about your journey. So do let me know in the comments. I'm always interested. I'll see you for plenty more very soon. You take care of yourselves and each other. Bye-bye.